What's up, guys, and welcome to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video. You know, pretty soon there's going to be a top 10 Zetas for February video coming out. I'm probably going to wait for the droids to drop first, but I want to do a top 10 non-Zeta characters video. Somebody brought this up to me the other day, and I think it's a great idea. So these are the top 10 characters plus a few honorable mention, because you know I have to have a few of those depending on where you're at in the game. And we're going to start with General Kenobi. I don't need to read through his kit, guys. You know how amazing it is. If they gave him a Zeta, he's one of the best tanks in the game. He would probably become the forever dominant best tank in the game. Maybe during this Clone Wars rework they'll decide to give him a Zeta. We don't know, but he's amazing. He cleanses, able to do a mass attack, and he can take a beating. So he's definitely one of the top characters without a Zeta. Again, these are in no specific order based on where you're at in the game. Next is Admiral Akbar. Would I have put him on here if the Falcon didn't come out and his capital ship is so important? I don't know. But he's a pretty good rebel leader for early game, and in certain instances later in the game. He can cleanse. He can have people attack twice. His leadership ability is good to give speed, and his capital ship is amazing with all the assists it calls with Millennium Falcon. So I did include him on this list, and especially if you're a newer player to the game, he's one of the characters you're going to get first. Definitely consider using him, because he's very fun to use. Next, we're going to go to another rebel. When I find him here, I'm going to scroll down, and this one is none other than, where'd he go? Wedge Antilles. Used to be completely meta dominant. Now he's not as good anymore, but he's great for teams in Territory War, Grand Arena on offense, territory battles as well. Certain aspects of the raid, not nearly as much anymore, but he is an excellent rebel leader. His ship is okay. It's kind of coming back with the Falcon. I don't use it, but some people do. He can hit hard. Him and Biggs together, who's the next character I'm going to talk about, do really well. He has a good AoE, his basic hits hard, and he has a leadership ability that allows people to recover health, turn meter, and they gain 30% offense. So I did include him in here. He's probably one of the characters I could have switched somebody out for, but he's still very good and somebody you should farm early in the game for a lot of the journeys you need to go through. Now it's actually Biggs. Biggs is probably more important than Wedge because his ship is still amazing. It was the best ship in the game overall. It is a tank. I still have him in my lineup now with the Houndstooth and Falcon. His ability to, with his ship, to be able to regenerate protection when target lock is given to the opposing team is amazing. And let's get it right, he can hit really hard with Wedge as well. When you use Comrade in Arms, Wedge assists, somebody else assists, and they have a 75% more critical chance. It can hit hard, his basic can hit decently hard, and he gains 100% turn meter evasion up after surviving and damage from an Empire enemy or a critical hit from an enemy. So he can be going quite a few times, actually. And he hits pretty hard. And if it wasn't for a ship, I'd have to reconsider this, but definitely solid character. Next, we're going to go down to a character I don't have leveled very much. Haven't put much time into it. I do have him to 7 stars, but he is amazing. A lot of people swear by him. It's First Order Executioner. This character doesn't have a Zeta, and he can continually stack damage. He's good in certain aspects of raids. The Death Sentence, deal physical damage to target enemy, remove 50% turn meter and dispel all buffs on them, so it's a dispel. If this attack defeats an enemy, First Order Executioner gains 80% turn meter, and the cooldown of this attack is reset. Otherwise, he gains 40% turn meter and 20% max health stacking until he defeats an enemy, so he's going to be able to become a little tanky. Total order, when First Order Executioner scores a critical hit, he gains 10% max health stacking until the end of the counter, and First Order allies gain 10% turn meter. First Order Executioner has a bonus offense equal to 5% of his max health. So remember, the more his health goes up, the more his offense is going to go up. And then Judgment, deal physical damage to target enemy and gain health up 30% for one turn if the target is debuffed. This attack is guaranteed to be a critical hit, and First Order Executioner gains advantage for 2 turns. Mod him with health, mod him with some crit damage and offense, and he's going to continually just be doing loads of damage. He's actually a nightmare to face in Territory Wars and Grand Arena, and he's a darn good character to have without a Zeta too, by the way. Next is Old Faithful, still used by youngins in the game, and still used by seniors in the game as well at times. Was the meta for the longest time, and honestly is going to be a good character for a while, especially if it gets a rework. Excuse me. It's Rex. Rex's leadership ability is probably still the most diverse in the game for a character that doesn't have a Zeta, and that's really the only thing that's important. Yes, he can cleanse and give tenacity up, but his brother-in-arms states that we're not going to worry about the clone allies. Other allies gain half the amount of 20% max health, okay? In addition, whenever an ally, this is just an ally, doesn't mean it has to be a clone, suffers a critical hit, all clone allies gain 50% turn meter, and other allies gain half that amount. So if you're being constantly critically hit, you're going to be gaining 7.5% turn meter. This was a dominant leadership for a long time. It still is if some people use Wampa in a Night Sister team here and there, or a Night Talzin in the Wampa team with Rex lead. He's excuse me, he's good for territory war and one of the best characters without a Zeta game. If not, him and General Kenobi are probably the best characters in the game without a Zeta. Next, we're going to talk about the Resistance Trooper. Wow, this guy can do lots of damage. He's part of a Finn team that can solo phase 3 and cause teams not to go. Or he's part of a JTR team that is able to dominate in phase 1. And not a Zeta. For how much damage he can do, his Opportune Strike, which is going to have a chance to inflict speed down, and it's reduced by 2. The cooldown is if the target is suffering any negative status effects, which happens to Nihilus a lot in phase 1. Guerrilla Tactics, he has 10% potency and gains 55% turn meter when an enemy who is not exposed becomes exposed. So when you're dealing with these characters, when you're running them with the JTR team, in any aspect of the game, he's going to continually be gaining extra turn meter. And he can do massive amounts of damage as well. In phase 1 of the Heroic Sith Raid, he's the person that does the most damage. And then his basic has a 65% chance to expose. But for a person that doesn't have a Zeta, he hits extremely hard. And he's extremely fun to use as well. So he's definitely in the top 10 non-Zeta characters. Sith Trooper, he's next. Now, there are a few characters I struggled actually deciding who to put in here. But since he's actually used still in a meta team with a Traya lead, and his ability to be able to take a beating is amazing. You know, his abilities, he's going to be inflicting offense down, gain protection buff. So it says deal physical damage to all enemies with a 70% chance to inflict offense down for 2 turns. Then gain protection up equal to 5% for each debuffed enemies for 2 turns. This attack ignores protection. When he gains protection up, that's huge. He can inflict defense down. He can ignore the protection, which honestly, he doesn't do that much damage, so that's not this big of a deal. But Sith Trooper has Viking's Legacy. Sith Trooper has plus 100% defense. Whenever a Sith ally uses a special ability or falls below 50% health, Sith Trooper gains defense up for 2 turns. If he already had defense up, he gains taunt for 2 turns. If he already had taunt, he gains retribution for 2 turns. Sith Trooper gains defense up and taunt for 2 turns at the start of the encounter. He can take a beating. He became meta with Traya teams. Some teams use him, some teams don't, but he's definitely a character that doesn't have a Zeta that I consider to be in the top 10, especially with the characters that I use. Now we're going to talk about Night Sister Zombie. Completely needed for a Night Sister team in general, because she's really not going to be used at all outside of a Night Sister team, because she wouldn't work very well. But her Endless Horde, they gave her a small rework. At the start of each encounter and at the end of her turn, Night Sister Zombie gains taunt for 1 turn, so she's constantly going to be taunting. When Night Sister Zombie is defeated while any other Night Sister allies are active, she is revived with 100% health, which can't be prevented. If Night Sister Zombie survived damage from an attack since her last turn, she gains 50% speed stacking at the start of her turn. When Night Sister Zombie is defeated, she loses 50% speed stacking. These effects are neither buffs nor rebuffs, and combined for maximum of 100% speed or minimum of 100% speed. If Night Sister Zombie is defeated while at minus 100% speed from this effect, she can't be revived. But she also allows the Undying Sacrifice here. She can be revived after defeated at minus 100% speed from Endless Horde. Okay, so that basically redid the Endless Horde thing right there. While a Night Sister ally is active, the first 2 times another Night Sister ally, this is what I was getting to, is active or is defeated by an enemy attack, they are revived, recover 100% of Night Sister Zombie's max health, and Night Sister Zombie is defeated. When Night Sister Zombie is defeated by this effect, she loses all protection, dispels all negative speed effects from Endless Horde, and revives with 50% turn meter. This effect does not trigger the Endless Horde's speed reduction. Okay, so this is amazing. She's going to continually be reviving the other characters well, or at least other characters as well. At least two, or the first 2 times they do it. And she still can't be killed until all the other Night Sisters are killed. She is what makes the Night Sister team, and she's one of the Night Sisters that doesn't have a Zeta, so she naturally needs to be on here. Great character if you're going to be farming Night Sisters. Please consider getting her. And then the last to round off the top 10 list, let's make sure I count this right. Kenobi, Akbar, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, is Chopper. In my opinion, there's 3 other characters on here I'm going to talk about that maybe you think could replace some of these characters. But Chopper is a Phoenix character that's great in the, I can't remember if he's in the Phantom or the Ghost. I think it's the Ghost. Oh no, he's in the Phantom. Duh, down lower left-hand corner there. He is great in the Phoenix squad. His ability to taunt, I think he's going to be great in a droid squad. He is already. Maybe he's going to work well with the Grievous squad. We don't know yet. He can dispel, he can taunt, and he can survive. He can regain protection. He's a great tank. He's especially good with Phoenix because he's needed to get Thrawn, or he can use him instead of Sabine, which is actually easier to do. Grand Arena, Territory Wars, definitely a character that's very usable. And he rounds off my top 10 with a non-Zeta. Now, the other 3 characters I'm going to talk about, depending on what you think and what you do, could potentially replace these characters. The first one is Shore Trooper. Shore Trooper is an Empire tank. You can, him and Sith Trooper could be switched out at times, but since Sith Trooper is still meta, I have a feeling that he's going to be included in here. His regroup ability allows people to recover part of his max health, so he's giving a heal, and they gain crit hit immunity, and he taunts. He's a good tank. He can take damage. He's an Empire character, and when another Empire ally uses a special ability, if Shore Trooper's taunting, they gain 50% turn meter, and Shore Trooper recovers 10% max health. So he's also able to spread turn meter around, and when you're using him in an Imperial Trooper team, which is a lot of fun, Imperial Trooper allies have plus 10% max health. Great character, doesn't have a Zeta, good in Imperial Trooper teams and Empire teams, as in like if you're running him with Palp and Vader. Now the next 2 characters are kind of intertwined, and they were meta for a while when they first come out, and they're still great characters. Maybe they're better than Chopper, maybe they're better than Sith Trooper, but it's none other than Shaze, Chirrut, and Baze. Amazing characters that don't have Zetas. I know they made my honorable mention, but if you use them, they could easily make the top 10. Chirrut, what can he do? He can deal a pretty good amount of damage, and he can cleanse and give health up. Also, whenever he takes damage, Baze taunts. He is a healer. Even though it says he's an attacker, he's a healer who can do damage. Great character. He was part of my arena team when I first was able to get first. I ran Nihilus Lead, Palpatine, Dooku, and Chirrut and Baze. And again, his ability to give health up and cleanse and heal, probably one of the best defensive players to use in the game when you're using him on your squad, because his ability to cleanse, his ability to continually heal and give health up. And then Baze, a wonderful tank, still used in Rebel lineups now. And of course, Chirrut and Baze can be used in Grand Arena. They can be used in Territory War. He can dispel with 2 of his attacks. One of his attacks is an AoE dispel. The other one is a single dispel. He constantly is able to take a beating because he gains max health equal to 20% of his max health. Chirrut also gains that much max health, so he's gaining extra health based on his max health, and Chirrut's gaining it so he can take more of a beating as well. Baze gains taunt and retribution for 1 turn at the start of each encounter whenever an enemy is defeated, and whenever Chirrut Imwe falls below 100% health, Baze Malbus gains 5% turn meter whenever an enemy gains a buff. So he's going to be continually gaining turn meter when the opposing team gains a buff as well. And then he's able to come through with Unload, dispel it, bonus damage equal to 25% of their max health. Empire enemies take that much damage. Calling Chirrut to assist, and then with the Fierce Reprisal, dispel all buffs, and for each buff dispelled, inflict the opposite buff if any, for 2 turns. He's just an amazing character. His basic has a chance to inflict speed down as well, and Cheer will gain 10% turn meter. Seriously, I know part of you are thinking that you're talking these guys up so much and they're not in the top 10. Well, because they're kind of a pair. I would have had to take out probably Chopper and Sith Trooper, potentially, depending on what characters I was going to take out. But 2 other great characters that, you know, you could throw into your lineup, you should start farming to have, especially if new Rebel characters come out. I know usually Old Ben takes the precedent of the tank right now, but Chirrut and Baze, amazing characters, good tanks, still great in certain aspects of the game. So that is my top 10 plus 3 characters that have non-Zetas that are dominant or pretty darn good in the game. If there's a character you think that I missed that you think should be on here, maybe Death Trooper, or not Death Trooper, I mean TIE Fighter Pilot. Death Trooper does have a Zeta, by the way. Let me know. Leave comments in the comment section below. This was a great idea somebody gave me, and if you think that there should be some other characters on here, let me know. Otherwise, please smash the subscribe button, like the video, click the notification bell so you can be alerted to all videos that I post. Also, I'm leaving a link to my Discord server and Patreon page in the description below. Make sure to check that out and leave comments in the comment section. Like I said, video ideas, that's huge. I got this as an idea from one of my subs. Comments, constructive criticism or criticism, let me know what you think I'm doing wrong and what I can do better. Replacements for these characters, just anything you want to talk about, please leave that in the comments. We can have a great discussion. Otherwise, peace out and may the Force be with you.